I'm the former gender and social inclusion specialist for the CRG facility and work closely with CDKN. And I'll be sharing with you technical support of CDKN to the CRG facility of Ministry of Finance in terms of integrating gender and social inclusion issues in the operation of CRG facility and implementing line ministries for enhanced climate action. So just to mention what CRG facility is, it's a financial mechanism for supporting the implementation of the climate resilient green economy strategy for achieving the vision of becoming a middle income status or country by 2021 with zero net emission, which has a focus on adaptation, mitigation, and economic development. The CDKN, represented by South North in Ethiopia, has been providing technical support to the CRG facility in carrying out institutional capacity building in terms of interventions and in terms of developing knowledge products of gender and climate change since 2019, and recently conducted a gender audit of the CRG facility and its executing entities at the request of the government. Just to mention the capacity building interventions of the CDKN, very much focusing on institutional capacity development as opposed to individual capacity development, supported by pre-prepared training modules and manuals. Just to mention some of the things, the training module includes different manuals and different topics in the area of gender and climate change, and also included a game, which is an innovative kind of approach that is used to train stakeholders on the nexus between gender and climate change, and also how decision makers can make gender responsive climate change programming. It's really the first of its kind because stakeholders are used to a PowerPoint presentation, but this way they can easily understand how climate change programming can be gender responsive. It's really an interactive kind of game where there are different characters. So it tries to bring the issue of social inclusion into it. There are people involved with limited adaptive capacity. Like we have elderly, we have women and other social groups that do have limited adaptation capacity. So this way, stakeholders will know easily how they can make a decision in terms of integrating gender and social inclusion issues. This was very, very relevant in terms of really explaining how stakeholders can make a decision or how they can plan their climate change programming, incorporating gender and social inclusion issues. And in addition, it was very much focusing on long-term engagement and in-country expertise. The CRG facility experts, as well as experts from other line ministries, were involved in designing the training module and even in designing the game. So that was really very important because it's just switching from the business usual way to the business unusual way by assuming that a capacity already exists. So what is important is using this capacity in a coordinated and systematic manner. So this way, we have achieved results in good results in mainstreaming gender into climate change activities across ministries and establishing a cross-sectoral community of practice for knowledge sharing, enhancing coordination and accountability mechanisms for gender and climate action. So specifically, I want to emphasize on the country expertise, which facilitates ownership and sustainability of capacity building interventions. There was also very strong collaboration with development partners and the development community. At the time, CDKN was very much closely working with the Global Green Growth Institute in terms of organizing different capacity building events, and also organizing the first meeting of Gender and Climate Change Community of Practice. So considering this collaboration, the Global Green Growth Institute is currently implementing the National Adaptation Planning GCF Readiness Project, which is focusing on building the capacity of the NDA and other light industries in terms of building capacity in the implementation of the National Adaptation Planning. So there are different capacity building trainings planned, one of which is a training on gender and climate change. So we are planning to use training materials developed by CDKN to be rolled out in this program. Specifically, we'll be using the weather games and other innovative games that CDKN interested, because this project is implemented at subnational level, and those games are very relevant at the subnational level in terms of showcasing how decision makers can undertake gender responsive climate change programming. And the other intervention that make CDKN approach very successful was the interventions were very much embedded into the government system. So they were not a standalone kind of interventions, but embedded into the government system. So as a result of these interventions, the capacity of the CRG facility in terms of integrating gender and social inclusion has greatly improved, and specifically contributed to strengthening gender responsive resource mobilization efforts of the CRG facility. As most of you know, Ministry of Finance is a direct access entity to the GCF as well as to the Adaptation Fund. The different contributions of CDKN in this regard supported in the accreditation upgrading process to the GCF as well as the accreditation to the Adaptation Fund, because gender and social inclusion issues are one of the key elements to be considered to for this process, for the accreditation upgrading as well as re-accreditation. Thank you.